Okay, guys, so excited for this dream team chat. We're talking about daily habits. I think it's super important. It goes along kind of with what we talked about a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, maybe two, about business systems, right? But kind of on a like a different side. Okay, habits help solidify your systems. Okay, so habits are systems for your day. So let's talk about the definition of a habit. So a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. And I mean, that's simple enough, right? When we think of habits, we know it's something that is done consistently, that you kind of ingrained to where it's just second nature, and you don't want to give it up because hopefully you don't want to give up this habit because it benefits you and it helps you go from one thing to the next. Okay. So, when you're looking at habits in your life, it's so simple, right? Making your bed every day, getting your kids off to school the same way, your bedtime routine, your Taco Tuesday nights, when you clean your house every week, or how you do your laundry, or things like that. But then we want to talk about it in your Scentsy business, right? Because developing habits is going to be so important to help guide you along your day, right? Of course, your everyday life, you have these habits that are second nature, right? But as you want to elevate your Scentsy business, and as you want to get in more of a routine, you have to develop habits that are going to work in your business. And no two people are going to have the same exact habits, especially in your Scentsy business, but there are some that you can absolutely do and implement into your everyday life, right? So you have to really look at, what does your day look like? When are you most productive? Where can you fit in little habits? Okay. So, oh wait, are you talking about that?
The next part?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that was easy.
Yeah, that was. She planned it that way.
Wait, but no. Oh yeah.
No.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so she kind of alluded to it, why we need habits that contribute to the longevity of our business, right? And I want to point out that, like, the habits that we are doing on a daily basis that are not related to our Scentsy business literally are the gateway to making it part of our business, right? So, like, making the bed, I started that after I became a consultant. And to me, it was twofold. One, I knew that I would feel more productive just in my day-to-day life if I started my day out by doing something productive, right? I feel good when my bed is made. It looks nice. It's a place I want to come back to. And I just feel good that I've completed that task. It may mean nothing to anybody else, but at least I know I got out of bed and I did something, right? But then I was able to take that habit to the next level and contribute it to my business, and by spraying my bed. And so, and that has helped my business so much. Why? Because people see me spraying my bed, and all of a sudden Scentsy Fresh is flying off the shelves because they see that habit being produced in my life, and it's resulting in something positive, right? And habits, I think, sometimes get a bad rap because not all habits are good, and we should look at the negative habits that we have in our life and even in our business that we tend to fall back on because they're comfortable. We've gotten settled in them. We've been doing them for too long. And so maybe you have to look at it and say, "Ooh, I'm doing that, and that doesn't really contribute to the health and longevity of my business."
Yeah.
And so while we're talking about basically good habits and like why you should establish good habits for your life and for your business, recognize that there are some habits that we pick up along the way that don't benefit us anymore, right? Maybe they were good for a time, they're not good anymore, and we have to constantly be reevaluating that. Okay, so with that being said, like I kind of mentioned, habits build on it's like the building blocks for a really strong foundation for your life, but also for your business. Okay. The little things that you are doing, well, they're not little, right? But the things that you are doing on a daily basis for your business create huge monumental things in the long run, right? And so people talk about, like, oh gosh, what's his name? His book, Atomic Habits, James Clear. That book is so good because he breaks down starting a habit that we've never done before should not be taken on in its entirety. And what I mean by that, and what he means by that, is if you decide that you're going to work out every day, right? And you know that 30 minutes of working out is the most beneficial, is where you want to be. You should not start by working out 30 minutes every day. You should start by building yourself up to the 30 minutes repetitively, right?
Yep.
Building a habit is doing something repetitively until it becomes second nature, until you don't have to think about it anymore,
Mhm.
right? It's just something that you do. Making my bed is just something that I do. So if you want to work out for 30 minutes every day, you're not going to start out your first week working 30 minutes every day. You're going to start out your day and do 5 minutes today. And then tomorrow you build up to 7 minutes, and then you build up to 10 minutes, right? And you build on that habit, and you build on until you get to the outcome that you want, and it's a solidified habit and it becomes second nature.
Yep.
Right? So like we talked about doing the daily power hour. It's a worksheet on your workstation. It's a really great breakdown of income producing activities for your business. Some people may say, I would be so overwhelmed trying to sit down for an hour, or I just don't have the time, right? A full hour to dedicate. Okay, so break it down. Do the daily power 10 minutes,
Mhm.
right? Where you sit down and you power through as much as you can. And then you build up to 15 minutes the next day. And then it's 25 minutes. And then all of a sudden you get to an hour. And now you're at that sweet spot where you're doing something so consistently. And it doesn't have to be on a daily basis, but you take those little increments and those little baby steps, and it builds on this foundation, right? And you may get to an hour and say, oh my gosh, I could do 2 hours, or I could do an hour and 30 minutes. And all of a sudden your business is blooming because you are doing focused, intentional things that are second nature to you now. Right. And with that, when you are in that process, right? So you make your bed and you kind of sloppily put it together, and then you spray some fresh on it, and maybe you just take a picture. And then the next day you make it a little bit nicer and you spray it and you do a video. And then the next day you're doing another video. You're building on it, right? And you're creating that habit. Let me tell you, as a Scentsy consultant and also a consumer of the product, when you are showing your customers and having those habits on display for your customers in whatever platform area you want, it creates predictability for your customers, and in the same way that it can create predictability for your team, right? So this is not just a consultant to customer conversation, but we are talking about well-rounded habits that benefit each area of your business, and then in turn your life, right? So for your customers though, knowing, oh my gosh, Brianna's going to wake up this morning and spray her bed and make her bed. Okay. I'm predictable in that way. And them knowing that, them having that, that knowledge about me creates a connection that you may not even think means anything, but to your customer, it's more than they know about the Target associate, right? It's more than they know about the Starbucks employee, right? So it creates that bond that at some point builds to the trust, right? Now they know what you're doing, they like it because they keep watching it, and now they trust you, and now they're ordering.
Yep.
Right? So the predictability creates connection. And so I see a lot of, especially new consultants, get burnt out because they don't know what to post. They don't know, they're like, I've run out of all these things to say, except that Wax Wednesday comes every week, right? Tip Tuesday comes every Tuesday.
Scentsy Club Sunday
comes
every Sunday.
Exactly. Fun Fact Friday, right?
It is completely okay to talk about the same thing again and again. Obviously, put out the content in different ways. You don't want to just like say the exact same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But building that rapport with your customers and the people watching your business, that you are predictable in the sense that you love your Scentsy Fresh and you make your bed and you put that buddy on it every day, or every Wednesday you're showing us what wax you're using. That really helps bond your customers to you. That really helps. When someone thinks of Scentsy, you are the first thing they think of. When they're walking down the aisle at Target and they see the wax melts, like they think of you.
Right. Yep. 100%. So don't be afraid to be predictable in that sense. And with that, I think that we need to also recognize, and for new leaders and even seasoned leaders, whatever, understand that this falls into the team aspect as well, right? Your team should be able to know that you're going to post every day on your team page or on the team page, right? They should know that they're getting a monthly email from you, or that you're going to be shouting out people, or that you're going to show up to the meetings, or that you're going to tag them in the post. You should be predictable with your team in the same way that you are with your customers. And I know that that can be hard to balance and whatever, but there are systems that you can create and adopt to fit whatever feels mismanaged or stressful to you. Surprise, you get to figure that out however it fits you.
Yep.
Like, there is no right way, wrong way, whatever. You figure it out and you create the system, but it starts with those habits, right? And sometimes we start a habit and we go, you know what, I've been doing this for a minute, I need to switch it up, I need to start something new, and we have to undo that habit and create a new one. And I've read that it is like, it is what is it? I can't think of the word. But it is best to pair a habit that you want to stop doing with a habit that you want to start doing, right? So if you're like, okay, I spend an hour during bedtime watching Netflix, but I really could be using my time better. Start pairing your Netflix binge at night, which I personally still love to do, but it's hard for me to put down my phone. Like, if I'm in the company of somebody and we're like trying to like watch TV together, it's hard for me to put down my phone, because what I want to do is pair my Netflix fun time with doing my business, because I've created a habit of, okay, I'm going to allow myself to watch TV and relax, but I'm also going to post some fun posts, schedule out some things, right? So that I'm also being productive. And I'm not telling you that you have to be on all the time, right? I'm not telling you that you have to be working all the time, because that's not the business. That's not the life we're trying to create. Hear me when I say it's about replacing habits that we want to change or break with habits that we want to make us, that we want to build on, that we want to have impact our life in a positive way. Okay. I'm not talking about being head down in your business all the time, because that's not good. But in those moments where I'm like, wow, I really wish, or I really want to be productive right now, and if I'm going to watch this show, then I'm also going to try to be productive here. And so pairing those two things, pairing something that you enjoy with a little bit of work, bagging samples, right? So if I'm going to sit down and watch this show, I'm going to also bag these samples. My friend, she works out all the time. She has a treadmill and she watches TV while she does it, but she only watches this certain show when she's working out. She doesn't watch it any other time. So if she's like, oh man, I really want to see what's next on this episode, she has to get on her treadmill and start working out. Yeah. And so doing things like that, creating the habits in your business, in your life.
Yeah, because what many of you guys, I'm sure, have found, and if you're new here, because look, I missed this whole part. If you're new here, you'll find out soon if you haven't already. Your Scentsy business can be a true self-development journey for yourself, for your life, for your family, for the opportunities available to you, right? You can use your Scentsy business, and in my opinion, like, this is the sweetest freaking part, man, but you can use your Scentsy business to completely elevate your life in any way that you want. Okay, but you have to be willing to do the work, try new things, develop new habits, hold yourself accountable, show up daily, find what works for you. But if you are willing to do that, this Scentsy business can completely change your life. And I don't just mean like money.
Yeah.
Or trips.
Right.
I mean, like, create a stronger, more confident leader, or help you figure out who you are and what you want in life. And I know for me, like, it's 1,000,000% true. And figuring out the little habits you need to break, and the habits you need to pick up, and the habits you need to string together, and the habits you need to build on, and the habits you need to reevaluate
Should be
right?
fun. it should be fun. It shouldn't be tedious.
No, it should be very fun.
Yeah.
And I think many of you guys know that your Scentsy business is fun. Yes, it's work. You know, yes, you have to be intentional, but it is so fun. Okay. And so don't feel like, oh, I have all this stuff to do. I have to create a million habits to be a better Scentsy consultant. Yeah, maybe you have to create some new habits. Oh my gosh, my cat. So sad.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, you do have to do work, and you do have to try, and you will fail, and there will be hard things, but in general, you're probably growing so much, and you're probably having such a great time that developing these habits is just like unlocking another key to happiness or key to freedom, or
becoming the more real you.
yes, a key
Yeah.
to more confidence,
Yeah.
more self-assurance. And for me, like, that's been huge.
Yeah.
Like, huge. I'm not the same person I am today, as I was when I joined almost 7 years ago, as I was even a year ago. Okay. Your Scentsy business can be the catapult to whatever you want in your life. Okay.
But personal development, that's the thing though, is that like she said, you have to show up and you have to do the work and you have to build the habits, right? Because personal development does not, just because there's a million personal development books out there, does not mean that you're equipped with the knowledge. If you buy the book and it sits on your table, you're not automatically equipped with the knowledge. No, you actually have to read the book. You actually have to listen to the podcast. You actually have to work out in order for you to see results.
Mm-hmm.
And so your business being the gateway to unlocking all this personal development would mean nothing if you didn't do what is required of you in your business to start with, right? For me, honestly, like it's the leadership part for me that I feel like that I just continue to like level up with, and the confidence and the I don't know what, but the big milestone in my head is like being able to speak at events, right? World Tour, SFR, the expo, like all that kind of stuff. To me, that's what I look back and say, wow, I love public speaking and I'm not afraid to do that. But doing it for Scentsy is like a whole nother level, right? Because I want to excel at it. I want to be good at it. So I have to do things outside of my comfort zone where I thought I was already good and locked in. No, I had to like change some stuff, and I had to really dive into what does it look like for me to be good at this, right? And so you may have to do that along the way in your business. You may say, I'm really great at social media, and then an algorithm comes along or a new social media platform comes along, and you have to switch it up and you have to adapt, right? It's called having a growth mindset. And if that's the only thing that you walk away with as part of your personal development, that's huge.
Yeah.
A lot of people are stuck in a fixed mindset. I'm sure you can scroll your social media feeds and point them out. So it is so important for you to be open to and understand that Alex says this all the time. This business is this business is a personal development business disguised as a wax and warmer business.
Yeah.
And like that is absolutely 100% true, but you have to open yourself up to it, and you have to be willing to do the work and take the risks where it's required to get that outcome.
And you have to hold yourself accountable. Like, I'm sorry, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you constantly make excuses for your actions or lack of actions, that is something that you need to work on. And I think we've all been there at certain times, and we all feel hard on ourselves. And then so we, give ourselves endless amounts of grace in the form of excuses. And I get it. Life gets hard. Like, I have had some life happen. Okay. But at the end of the day, we are all adults. We all own our own businesses. We all want to grow. No one can make that happen for you except yourself. And so you have to recognize, I am slacking. I need to do better. I'm making excuses. I'm basically like counting out my day before it even starts. If you feel like that's you, even if it's hard to admit, it's something that you have to intentionally recognize and work on. Because the thing is growth mindset is something that can and is learned.
Yeah.
It is something that you have to consistently remind yourself of, because your brain will default to what's easy, what's going to get you out of it, how you can get out of it. That's what your brain defaults to. And usually it's shifting your mindset to say, no, okay, I can do this instead, or I'm going to try this, or I'm going to get up and do this. Right. So I just want to throw that little point in. It can seem like tough love.
And it is.
It is.
But that's it's relevant.
It's very important.
Yeah.
I feel like the older I get, the more I crave accountability, because I feel like it's lacking so much. And so I just want to add that point in, that it is okay to look inward at yourself and say, I'm not doing my best, and I need to step it up, or I need to XYZ.
And it starts with one. It starts with one thing that you say, I'm going to do differently. I'm going to work on changing this, right? Because whatever your brain is defaulting to is a habit, right? Yep. That was a habit that was formed. You didn't come out of the womb counting your day out, right? So if anything that you are doing, if you can say that was a learned habit, guess what? You can unlearn it, and you can put something else in its place that's actually productive.
Yep.
And let me be very clear. To me, there's just not an end goal. There's not okay, now here's the picture of what you should look like as soon as you're done. We are all different.
Yeah.
We are all going through all different things.
We all have ebbs and flows. Right. We're all a work in progress.
Right. There will never come a point where you say, I have arrived, right? That's why we are talking about building on habits, right? Because it's never, okay, I'm here, I'm done.
Yes. And I mean, if you look at the most successful people in the world, the most wealthy people in the world, the people who their lives seem so fulfilling, they are never done. Right. They are always working on something, bettering something, changing something, moving on to something. Right. Yeah. And so, yes, there is no arrival. I'm a superstar director and I have a big team, so that's it. I've done it. My Scentsy job is done, and now I'm just chilling. Right. No, you will always have to redevelop new habits, try new things, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All of it. Yeah. Yes. Constantly evolving.
It was a good reminder, actually. I really love Will Smith, and I love his book, and I love his journey and all this stuff. And you look at Will Smith and you read everything that he has done and accomplished in his life, man, you would sit back and go, nope, he's arrived. He's one of the greatest actors, movie stars, by their definition, they consider him that, right? But just last week, he won an award for, what's that movie with Serena and King Richard.
Okay.
He won an award for that. And he said that was probably one of the greatest moments in his career, in his life. Right. And you think he's 50 something years old. And for him to have so much success where anybody else would go, oh my gosh, yeah, how could you want anything more? But it's crazy to consider. And I think that for a lot of people, it's very driving to think your best moment hasn't happened yet. You can think that you're sitting at the mountaintop until you look behind you and there's a whole nother big mountaintop waiting for you. Right. And so that's where the constantly growing and evolving and challenging yourself and building on new habits, that's where that comes into play. So if you go into it with that mindset and not, Will Smith talks about this in his book, but not the constant craving need that forces everything out to do more, right? This idea of contentment should be something that you reconcile inside your own heart.
Yes,
and knowing that you can be content and still want more.
Still have goals and want to drive to be better.
Yeah, for sure. And so you have to reconcile that. Yeah. Because I don't think that you should just be constantly driving for more and driving yourself crazy and forcing out the good that you have. Okay. But I think that it's also important to always want to be better, to be a better version of you. What can you do today, or what can you do tomorrow to be a better version of yourself?
Yep. And I just want to add in in that, kind of on the opposite side of that, if you are sitting on the other side of this call and you're like, yeah, like I don't have anything that I'm really driven towards. You know, I love Scentsy. I'm doing Scentsy. Sure, I want to grow it, but like I don't feel this big, powerful push to do more. Or like maybe you're so entangled in raising little kids, or maybe you suffer depression and anxiety and you just feel like the world is so heavy and like you don't even know where to begin. And so if that is you, in any capacity, I want to just remind you that you are so important and so valuable, and you deserve things that set your soul on fire. And so if you need to step back and evaluate your life and say, where do I need hobbies? Where do I need something that's myself? What do I enjoy?
And maybe Scentsy is just the stepping stone to get you to
Sure.
something that has nothing to do
Sure.
with Scentsy.
Absolutely. Or maybe Scentsy walks right alongside you while
Right.
you're doing other things. But like I think it is so important for everyone, and this really has nothing to do with Scentsy, but I think it is so important for everyone to feel connected in their soul with themselves and be happy with yourself. And so if that means you need more time outside, or you need more time developing hobbies, or finding yourself, or reading, or relaxing, or whatever it is that makes you content, just being content in your life, while you can still have your goals and still have things you're working on, but like when you are by yourself, you are happy with yourself. I think that is so important.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you are struggling with that, because I'll tell you, like I was struggling with that maybe a year ago or so. I was really struggling with like, am I happy with who I am? Right? I was really struggling with that. And that snowballed into every part of my life. And I may have held it together really well. But I was really struggling. I had to really spend a lot of time with myself to find who I am, where I'm going, what I want, what I need. And when I have a clear picture of that, all of the other things start aligning. My health goals, my business goals, my financial goals, my parenting goals. Okay. When I am content, and it doesn't mean happy, because
Two different things.
yeah, life can be not happy, but content yourself with being who you are is so important. And so if you feel lost, you can go find yourself. Like give yourself permission to go on the self-discovery journey to find yourself, so then you can become more grounded to create habits that align with the life that you want. I think it's so important, especially with COVID, and so many changes has happened since then in your home, in your job, in your day-to-day life. Okay. It's so important that you are okay with who you are, and that you know who you are, that you are grounded with who you are as a person. And sometimes I feel like it's hard to start working on your business when you aren't even okay.
Yeah. Like if you're like struggling hardcore personally, or your life is just like chaos
Shambles.
around
Yeah.
you, first of all, not alone. And second of all, work on that. Like put focus where it's needed.
Like you deserve it.
Right. Right.
Because, you know,
pouring from the glass half empty, like
yes,
that's a thing for a reason.
Yes.
Right. And I think that while it has good intentions, I think as moms especially, we're like, no, my glass is like bone dry, and I still have to show up and be a mom. I still have to show up and be a parent. I still have to show up and be a spouse. And I get that. But that's where I also think that habits, when you start creating habits, it should be something, your habits should be implemented in every area of your business, and especially in the self-care realm, especially in that filling up the cup. Like she said, if it's going outside more, if it's going to church, if it's finding community, if it's a night by yourself at a hotel room, if whatever it is, you need to make that a habit. And there is nothing wrong with it. There is no selfish intent behind it. And
there's no excuse why you shouldn't. There's nothing.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no excuse why you shouldn't put yourself and your needs and discovering yourself and creating
on the priority
peace
list.
very high on the priority
Yes.
list.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, all that info is free for y'all. But I mean, but it 100% is, I think what we were saying when we were talking about this, it was like daily habits. Yeah, we want to focus on the business, but man, it's like widespread, right? These habits, these things that we're talking about, like doing. So it becomes second nature, and we're so settled in it that has to be in our life. That has to be part of our life. If we're doing things, if I'm sitting down every morning and writing down my numbers, I have to make room for that, right? So it's affecting, because the 15 minutes I'm spending here is 15 minutes I'm not spending there. So my habits have to align with what I'm doing, and it affects things.
Yep.
And so that's where you need to really do self-check, and you really do need to consider the habits, because the moment that you start putting things in place and then a month down the road you're like, whoa, this does, my life is a mess right now.
Yep.
Because you spent all this time focusing here and it doesn't fit.
And I've done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have totally done that, where I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then it's like, my house is just chaotic and I'm telling my kids to hush. And it's just like, okay, that didn't work.
Right.
So I need to be more realistic.
Yeah.
Right. It's trial and error. It's
Mhm.
always evolving, but it is so important that you recognize what can be changed, what can be added, and then doing it on a
Mhm.
consistent basis and building off of it. I think it's just very important that we don't just focus on small habit, small habit, small habit. Like, okay, great, good. What can I add to that?
Yeah.
What can I elevate it to, then take it to the next step? Like, for example, making my bed and then adding fresh and taking pictures and then a video. And then you're talking on the video, talking
Mhm.
about Scentsy
Mhm.
Fresh, right? You can, add to the habits that you're developing. Okay. You can build on them.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, not building on that.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording.